Hey guys, continuing Iamblichus' Exhortation to Philosophy text, chapter 19. In this paragraph, Iamblichus talks about an uncontrolled man. In the previous video, I talked about the paragraph where he talks about self-controlled man. So here Iamblichus says, let's look at a man whose desires are satisfied without any control. He says, this man's life will be full of evil torment, and he will lead the life of a robber. And I'll try to interpret what he means by this in a moment. He says, because of this, because there's no self-control, there will be no fellowship. Because there is no fellowship, there will be no friendship possible for this man. And I think what he means here is to say no true friendship. Because if we look at the lives of thieves and tyrants and so forth, they have friendships, but those friendships are not true. Their friends turn against them whenever a good opportunity arises. So that's, I think, what he means. No good and no true friendship will be possible. And he says he says everything in the universe, the bond between gods and men is kept together by fellowship, by friendship, by justice and orderliness. He says that's why cosmos, the word cosmos was chosen to represent the reality, because that word translates as order. So I thought that was very interesting. So now, this is literally what he says in one short paragraph. Now let's interpret this a little bit. How I think, if there's anything I can add that rings to me. Life of a robber is a very interesting concept that he would bring this into this concept. What is the life of a robber? I think he might mean that you cannot trust anyone. If we look at how robbers work, and I've had a good opportunity in this life to observe a thief, a high-level thief, for many years, and his life. And the life of such a person, so I've seen a lot of different dimensions to such a life. It's a person who steals from anyone they can steal, really. And the life of such a person, or they try to trick everyone they can trick to get money and to get some kind of benefit. The life of such a person is typically filled with, it's a horrible life. It's filled with paranoia that they might be tricked, they might be stolen from. And whatever friends they have, because of this paranoia, they often turn against their own friends. And we can see this in the public media very easily if we observe tricksters and people who cheat in politics, in finance, and so forth. And if we observe what happens to them, when police discovers what they're doing, the closest friends turn against them, and so forth. So I think this is what he means. He means that the person will have no peace, first of all, because there will be constant paranoia that you will be gotten for what you're doing by your closest friends. And so people turn against their closest friends. There will be no peace, and no friendship. And there is another dimension, that by stealing something, you're opening up, this is how I see it. By stealing something from someone or somebody else, you're opening up a door through which peace and self-respect will leak out. Like, let's say if there is an energetic door, or like you're making a hole in your soul, essentially, through which that will leak out. Because if we observe these people, there is often a very deep feeling of insecurity in them. And they try to cover it with kind of confidence, but this confidence is so surface level that you just push them a little bit, or if you disrespect them a little bit, or if you say something that would contradict them, they often explode with rage and anger, showing that underneath is huge insecurity. Essentially, what is underneath is huge chaos. We see that this is another dimension that is very interesting with this chapter, with this paragraph. If we do this, essentially we're entering the world of chaos, because desires satisfied without control, they will bring chaos to us. At one moment there's one desire, the next moment there's another desire, and one desire brings another 10 desires. If we keep satisfying our desires like this without restraining them with reason and wisdom, then we're essentially generating chaos in our own psychology and possibly in our physical bodies as well. And we often see people who do this, they become physically ill. So we're entering a world of chaos. So it is not surprising that Iamblichus says this is no friendship is possible, and he links it to cosmos, to order, because there will be no order to this person. We see why there will be no order, because to have an order, you have to exert self-control. You have to control yourself. By self-control, you're bringing order. And we remember from the previous chapter that to generate order in ourselves, in our lives, is to develop virtue. Remember, Iamblichus said that and directly linked it, and I made a video on that. So we can see what is happening now with a person who does this. They're generating chaos, disorder in their mind, in their bodies, in their emotions. So no wonder that torment will follow. No wonder evil will follow, because often we associate chaos and disorder with evil. And a very painful life. And no friendships either, so this will bring loneliness. And in terms of psychology, this is the saddest story, because often these people, they're desperate to have somebody by their side, like a good friend or somebody who loves them, because of this deep, huge insecurity that they have. And they're destroying that by their behavior. So let's say if they're in a relationship and they're like this, they will be cheating on their loved one. The loved one will find out, will leave them, or it will destroy the loved one's feeling and perception of this person. And this person by themselves, if they cheat on a loved one, they would have degraded their relationship towards their loved one. Remember how cheating works in psychology. By cheating on your loved one, you are robbing yourself from the higher level of relationship you can have with your loved one. You essentially degraded the relationship down, brought it to a lower level. And we can observe this. Then a person starts to feel cold towards their loved one, or they start to feel irritated by them, and or a million other things. You've destroyed friendship, essentially. Your loved one is no longer your friend. And sometimes it becomes, in your mind, your loved one becomes your enemy. And all kinds of crazy things follow. Why? Because you've given in to a desire without controlling it. You cheated. Of course, not always like this, but this is very often it's like this, from what I've observed. And almost like every third of my client, or fourth, is a woman or a man on whom infidelity is happening. So either they are cheating, or they have been cheated on by their loved one. Not this month, a couple of months ago, almost every client I had was like this. This month the clients are coming with a different problem. So yeah. So this is very interesting. So let us remember this and absorb this and fear this insanely, that we're going to become like this. Fear hugely that we will give in to desires without control, because of what can follow: a whole destruction of our life, Essentially, we're going against the way the universe works when we're doing this. So no wonder everything goes to hell. We generate a living hell for ourselves. Let us absorb that and be very wary of not doing this. And remember how desires work. Desires are such tricky things. The one tiny desire, we give into it, it will lead to another desire, slightly bigger. We give into that one. And we won't even notice before we're satisfying huge desires. If we look at how infidelity arises in relationships, on my Russian channel, I made a huge playlist of step by step how cheating develops in a relationship. And often is pretty much almost always, very often, cheating is a culmination of very small, tiny factors. And those factors start to add up, and then they break the person, and the person gives in to the desire. Those tiny factors are often desires and longings for certain feelings, certain sensations, and so forth. And also psychological barriers. Remember how... so we're starting to enter psychology now. I'll stop, because I don't want to put too much psychology into at least these videos. But basically, satisfying desire starts to extend our psychological barrier. And what once was unacceptable to us gradually becomes more and more acceptable, then it becomes normal, then it becomes a habit. And then before we know it, we're a different person. And that's often how people start to enter insanity, by extending that barrier, especially if they're lying a lot. I've observed this quite a bit. The more a person lies in life, and often this is the type of person we're going towards, the more they lie towards the end of their life. This is what I'm seeing with some people now that I've observed for a long time. They can't really tell what is a lie and what isn't, and even their memories are filled with lies. It is, and their thinking is chaotic. They basically are going insane. And why were they lying so much? To do this, to satisfy desires, to get what they want. It's a sad situation. This is the reality. So let us be extra careful, to be just, to be truthful, and to control our desires under scrutiny, as if somebody is coming to our castle. A foreign person is coming to our castle, desire. And we have to study and investigate this person to see if they are good or if they're bringing something evil and treacherous with them. I think there is even an analogy like this in Buddhism. That you constantly have to be on a watchtower towards your desires, as if they're coming to attack you, your castle, take away all your belongings and families. And to expect that a lot of them will be spies. I think, in Buddhism there is this analogy that expect a lot of them to be spies and to look very different to how they really are. And we can see now how it relates to Platonism, these Buddhist analogies. So let's do a quick meditation now, guys, and then we'll finish with this video and proceed on to the next one. You can do any meditation you want. Okay, thank you. A video will appear now, hopefully, by YouTube. You can click on it to keep watching this channel.